Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, June 5th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First three cards we are starting our day off with today are our Queen of Pentacles in its upright, in combination with our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal, in combination with our Six of Swords in its upright. If you have been feeling a lot of the intensity of this Gemini season over the last few days, I'm getting the message that things should start to feel like they're smoothing back out again. Okay, why are we seeing this? Because, and this is why I was kind of talking about a lot of the work that we saw that was occurring in this Gemini season has to do with the fact that we've got a lot of planets right now between Gemini and Aries. If they're not in Gemini, they're in Aries right now. Like, you know, it's like one or the, I mean, Mars is hanging out over in Leo. I mean, it's fine. But, you know, the thing that we keep on seeing that's really important has to do, and I got to stress this right now, in making sure that you're not getting too hard on the self. Because I'll tell you yesterday, you know, one of the things that may have felt, I would not be surprised if there weren't some energetic conflict points that were coming up over the last couple of days. Because what we effectively saw was happening is we love Gemini energy, right? We absolutely love it for the positives. Every sign work has its positives and its negatives. In the positive space, we see the fact that Geminis are dynamic, multifarious, right? I like to describe it as like working with the array, being able to see the bigger picture of things, being able to connect the dots, if you will. This is a great type of energy for working in the space of big ideas. It's a great energy for being able to kind of work in that space of being able to see the bigger picture of things. But, okay, if you are one who has a tendency of carrying excitement more in the space of anxiety, it can also create a little bit of this energy of racing thoughts, right? Working into the feeling of not being able to keep pace. This is, you know, the way I've been describing this right now is it's a lot like I keep on saying that a little bit of Gemini energy is pinball energy, right? It's like watching something move back and forth, and it's understanding how to be pragmatic as we move to our manifestation goals. When we've got this many planets in Gemini, it can feel like there's a lot happening at once. It's really easy to get hard on the self. And that's why I was even identifying the fact that the moon was in Virgo over the last couple of days. This could have made it a little bit even more difficult, because the thing is, Gemini energy is a lot about like whatever it takes, right? It's being able to kind of move into that like that openness as it relates to possibility. Virgo energy has more to do with perfection. It has more to do with exactitude. It has more to do with refinement. So you can see how something about the confluence of the Gemini energy with the Virgo moon energy that we are experiencing could potentially lead to the space of being really hard on the self. This is why working through some of those Taurus lessons that we spoke about, that we went through in the last cycle, are helpful. Because what was the Taurus energy teaching us? Helping us to embrace our majesty, right? I like myself just the way I am. Building into that space of finding that making peace with ourselves, building into that space of adaptability, building into that space of easement, right? It's not easy, but I like the fact that we've now got a bit of that moon. I like the fact that we've got the moon in Libra right now with the Gemini energy, because I think it helps us work into what a lot of I feel like this season is all about, which is finding, like I keep on hearing, finding the ability to stay focused in the midst of a lot of like potential, like I keep on hearing like a lot of things happening all at once, right? Just being able, like, it's like I keep on hearing it's almost like trying to like aim for a target, like as everything else is happening around you. This is having a different impact depending on where we find ourselves on the frequency cycles. Center card, we got two cards. Man, this is just gonna be the way it is ever since Pluto full moon. Ever since Pluto retrograde. The center cards for today, we've got two cards again. Okay. So we have here our Five of Wands in combination with our Temperance card. And the thing that we're seeing that's really interesting about this is it feels like this is the type of energy that is helping us recognize and appreciate our own ability to expand. I keep on getting the sense, I just keep on seeing that there's something, and I feel like a lot of the thing that, okay, let me walk you through what I'm seeing here. So, and it has a lot to do with the continuation of the lesson that we recognized and we spoke about yesterday. And it has to do with the energy, the message that was coming through for energy deep within divine union. So we were talking yesterday about the fact that a healthy manifestation is one of the ways we can tell that our manifestation is healthy is that it continues to do the work of maturing. The manifestation kind of changes in correlation to our own ability of seeing things. This is often why it feels like we never necessarily fully arrive to our manifestation. Because, again, what is the difference between a wish versus a manifestation? A wish is about gimme, right? A wish is about wanting something and then not and wondering why it's not happening. A manifestation is moving in accordance with what it is that one hopes to bring about within the self and around the self, right? This is often why we talk towards the healthy manifestation that feels more characteristic upon the space of helping one to see, being able to see the possibilities, being able to identify what it is that one is working towards. It's the energy that changes you in the process of moving towards it, right? This is what we talk about in relationality to expansion of the self. And often, one of the things that we can see that identify the fact that we're moving towards a healthy manifestation is seeing something with more clarity, having a breakthrough, right? And what's beautiful about it is often the true gifts that we receive in moving towards a manifestation are the breakthroughs that we have along the way. This is often why we identify the fact that the manifestation shifts, but it's the positive shift, right? It's the recognition of being able to learn something as one proceeds towards the healthy energetic lesson. That's why we keep on seeing that there's something very profound that may be occurring right now for some energy that's in separation. Because if these are energies right now that are in separation, right? If these are energies that are working towards what it is that they're trying to correct for within the self, building into this space of their authenticity, right? Because there was a lot of these energies here that we saw, their prioritization as it relates to partnership is being able to be authentic above all. What we effectively see that is happening right now is a lot of those energies I keep on hearing are being able to be healed via the auric contradictions. And the auric contradiction that's effectively occurring is potentially building into a space where they're talking to one another about each other, right? They're coming to know one another. And there's something about the false context of something that one is saying to another person, right? The identification point of another person looking and saying, I know you keep saying that, but I'm not seeing it, right? Like the thing that, like, it's like they're showing each other the wounds that they didn't know that they were carrying, right? Because the healthy relationship is one that helps us see more clearly. So that ability of doing so, right? The ability of almost being able to like move away, like the unhealthy, like the unhealthy perception of another, something that the trauma like brought in, something that the trauma said, right? Something that one couldn't see clearly, that allows for that space of being able to feel energetically cleared. This is why I keep on seeing that this is a lot of those relationships that are feeling like they're feeling that unification point. They're feeling that embrace that is starting to occur. And a lot of that energy of the embrace that's starting to occur in these modalities and in these circumstances is directly proportional to the ability, I keep on seeing, the ability to move away from something that is unhealthy that one may have brought with you from an unhealthy relationship. So something about the self that one, like I told you, the unhealthy relationship that feels like one is contorting to it, right? Moves you in ways that doesn't feel like it's in alignment to you. This is a lot of that process of reformation, because it's a reformation of the self that helps one see like what that space of authenticity is versus what it is that you're truly trying to overcome. This brings us to a lot of the energy that's coming into divine union right now. For a lot of the energy coming into divine union, one of the things I'm seeing that I think is really important right now has to do with the recognition of how far one has come. And I even said, if this is some energy that feels like the relationship itself is somewhat surreal, the reason that we're seeing that there's a little bit of that surrealness is because this is the energy that's moving in accordance towards what they find in partnership. And one of the things we identify that's happening for a lot of this energy that's moving out of High Priestess into strength is the ability of finding the strength to continue to be vulnerable. But it's hard work, because they're also learning the fact that the reason that we say that healing is linear is because the same boundaries, right? The same boundaries that we have to hold to be able to move towards partnership are the same ones that we have to kind of move away from once we come into healthy partnership, right? Everything about healing, this is why you can't become rigid in your healing, because at times there are some aspects of healing that feel like they're foundational to the self. And then sometimes the thing that you needed to heal is the thing that you have to move away from in order to move deeper into one's own healing process. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, recognizing that adaptability. Welcome to Gemini season. It's all about adaptation. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union, can I please have the 4th and 5th cards in our 5-card spread for today? This is like a complicated spread that we're seeing. There's that strength card we're talking about in combination with our Knight of Wands in its reversal. For this is feeling like the energy, like it's the Libra moon. Energy within divine union, this is feeling like a Thursday that should be a Friday. I'm just seeing this here. There's something, it's saying to me, like it's feeling to me like this has been like, and I can see it even now. There's been something about this being this has been like a very emotional week. I told you the Gemini energy can be very exciting, but it can also feel like it can often create, I want to describe the thing that we've been seeing. And I want to explain why, if you're feeling a little bit like through the ringer on this energy, is because, and I've been seeing this ever since all the planets went into Gemini. I was actually curious as to how this was going to be impacting us. Typically, when we're going through an energetic cycle, and you've probably recognized this if you follow along with me through the podcast or where you follow me. We've got modalities, right? The reason that you'll hear me talking about something over the span of days is because we typically, even as we're reading, we hold patterns, right? We work through the modality of kind of being in a certain vibe. And we hold that vibe for several days. That's not happening right now. Remember when I said multi-ball? It's every time, every reading, like every reading I have given over the last week has been a completely different energy, right? It's been going up. It's been going down. It's been going sideways. It's been going back and forth. It's like it is everywhere, because that is the end, like that is the Gemini energy. It's about like what you have to bring to the day, how you have to arrive to it, right? It's not so much about like, and this is why sometimes like this is why so much of that Gemini energy can feel a little bit more exhaustive, especially when we have so many planets in Gemini right now, because your own emotions could potentially feel like they're all if you're going to tell, if you were to come to me right now and say, like, I don't know what's going on this week, my emotions have been all over the map, I'd be like, I do. I'd be like, I do. I'd be like, yeah, it's like that. And this is like, it's on one day you're like, huh, next day you're like this, next day you're like, you know what I mean? Like it's very, it's working through the fact that it's like, it's bouncing back and forth a lot. So I want you to, again, and this is why I keep on telling you guys, now is not the time. Like, spontaneous change with intention is fine. No drastic changes because you feel like it. This is why I keep on saying eclipse rules apply. Okay, which is why I keep on saying, if it's a good idea now, it'll be a good idea in 5 minutes. It'll be a good idea in 5 hours. I'm not saying that you can't be spontaneous at this time. I'm just saying, give it a minute. Okay, just give it a minute. Give it a minute, okay? And please don't be hyperbolic. But for the energy deep within divine union, I feel like there's a lot. It feels, I got to tell you, actually, it feels to me, for the energy deep within divine union, this is some heavy Mars and Leo stuff happening right now. There's a lot of like, this is almost like romantic, you know? This is feeling it's feeling resplendent is the word that's coming to me. Continuing to get clarification, and we'll dig deeper into that there. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Pentacles, our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal, and our Six of Swords in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Empress in its reversal. This is exactly what I'm talking about right now. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I would like you to turn your attention over to, if you haven't, if you head over to my Substack, I post the photos of each day's spread. And we've noticed something a little intriguing over the last few days. I certainly have. And that is the fact that we have had the Empress card coming up in almost every one of our readings the last few days. I'm looking at her now. Yep. All right. And the thing is about that Empress card, she's been showing up for like at least the last 3 days. And it's like up and down, up and down. The last 2 days upright, today reversal. Okay, this is what I meant about making sure, okay, working through often what the Gemini lessons are, which is the difference between pragmatism and fickleness. What is the difference between pragmatism and fickleness? Okay, pragmatism is working towards a manifestation goal, okay, and being adaptable as one does so, right? That's being able to switch speeds, right? That's be able to be like, it's like, I like to describe, it's like Donkey Kong. It's like what, it's like here to here to here to here to here, right? It's understanding that we have to be adaptable as we move towards a manifestation goal. And this is often like that clarity of intention. What we often want to work on right now is not being fickle. And what does fickleness look like? Fickleness is changing for the sake of change. But the thing is about fickleness, and this is often something that those with Gemini placements need to like work through and identify, is that oftentimes when we're moving in a space of fickleness, we feel like a change will do us good, but there isn't much of an intention behind the change, which can sometimes be indicative of a lack of energetic resilience as it relates to maintaining consistency towards a manifestation goal, right? It's like it's a difference between I've had a change of thought versus I've changed my mind, right? It is the difference between the curvature of seeing something in a different way that amplifies and moves you in the directionality of what you identify would be a good direction versus, right? Versus just not knowing where you're going, right? It's like, so I want you to think about that a lot as it relates to navigating change in your life right now. And that's why I've been telling you guys over the last few days, like no board flipper energy right now. I don't want you telling me, don't you dare come to me for a reading once we get to the 9th and some of this Gemini energy goes away and say to me, I just felt like I needed to change something. And I'm like, and then I change. I'm like, yeah, because the thing that's changing right now, your mood may be changing, be very changeable, right? And so a lot of the work that we see is it's not the fact that you can't be adaptable right now. It's not the fact that you might not be able, I keep on hearing the word is spontaneity with intention is a surprise. Being too changeable because you get frustrated is a catastrophe. Okay? So, yeah, so like again, just recognize and identify. And this is why I keep on saying that like the eclipse, this is frequently what I say when eclipse seasons are here, right? Predicate the change on a solid reason why, right? The logic towards changing that allows you to move towards expansion. And that's happening across all the frequencies right now. Continuing to get clarification between our 6 of Swords in combination with our 5 of Wands, in combination with our Temperance card in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify? Oh my God, are we really gonna get 2 cards for everything today? All right. Okay. Sorry. Surprise, surprise. It's Gemini season. We're just gonna get a lot of cards today. It's fine. Okay. No, this is fine. You know why? Because this is the full moon energy. I told you there's something about this full moon that feels like an abundant breakthrough. It feels energetically celebratory. It feels like, I got to tell you, it feels like it's like an untamed full moon is what I keep on getting. You know, it's like, this is like, I keep on hearing this is the untamed full moon because it's Gemini energy. It's a Sag full moon in Gemini season. So it has a lot to do with, like, I keep on seeing like understanding, like it's working into like that feeling of, like that feeling of possibility where, like I told you, like that leap of faith, if you will, towards, right? That leap of faith towards a manifestation. Remember what I said? It was saying to me again, it's a conversation between, it's a conversation between spontaneity with intention, right? Spontaneity with intention. That's what we're saying. Like this is just validation on what we've been saying. These 2 cards together is literally spontaneity, but with intention. So navigate that right now. Continue to do that work. Be adaptable as you do so. Now, this is what I meant. This is, I feel like there's potentially I feel like this is for a lot of the energy right now in separation. This is that energy of partnership. This is that energy that I told you. Remember I said that some of that energy that was trying to come together during this time was holding themselves back to a certain extent, right? That they were working in terms of some of that, like that Saturn energy, in terms of like not, of putting like caution to the wind, like working on healing. This is the energy that is experiencing the manifestation breakthrough that is allowing them to start to trust one another, right? Because that ability, I told you, like that ability of giving, like I almost hear the energy, like that ability of building into a space of clarity, that ability of being able to say something, like to say something that feels like it's clarified. I almost hear like this is the breath of fresh air. This is the release and relief that's coming, that is allowing a lot of this energy to move into these new partnerships. Because that is, I keep on hearing the energy say, it's a relief to hear you say that. Because I keep on hearing like that is the energy. I even told you via V, that auric contradiction, right? The ability to identify something that you keep on saying about the self. And another person says, well, I got to tell you, I just don't see it. But in a good way is what I keep on hearing, in a positive way, right? That clarifying thought that helps someone see something with more clarity. This is either the energy that's having one of two different modalities happening. They're seeing how far they've come in terms of healing something within the self, or they're recognizing something that they carried with them. They're carrying with them from an unhealthy partnership, some bad thought form that doesn't serve them, but that they needed to hold on to in order to maintain a partnership that was not for them. So that's why I keep on hearing the energy just moving towards each other, but they're moving towards each other with a sense of confidence and gratitude. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, clarification between our Five of Wands, our Tempest in its reversal, Temperance in its reversal, and our Strength card in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify? We've got here our Seven of Swords in its upright. And I kept on seeing, like, here's the thing about it. And this is like, this is the thing that's so difficult for a lot of the energy that is coming into divine union, that is continuing to work towards their healing, which is, they're working through and we were talking about this heavily yesterday. The boundaries that become the energetic standards. And I'm just going to return to this because it was really important when it was coming through yesterday. And I feel like it needs to be restated. So one of the big messages that was coming through yesterday is the difference between a boundary and a standard. And what effectively happens is our standards, okay, and I need to walk you guys through this. Our standards define our boundaries, and our boundaries become our standards. And what do we mean by that? Typically, we don't have a standard until we feel that we need one, right? Often that's why the places that we set our standards, there's usually heavy lessons that are created there, right? And often the reason that we have to set a standard is because like it's a space that we experienced pain. It's a space that we experienced like an egoic wound, a karmic wound. We can often define, we learn a lot from one another when we're able to articulate upon our energetic standards. And so I keep on seeing that ability, and what's profound about the difference, the reason that the boundary becomes the standard is because often when you talk about a boundary to someone that you don't need it with, they look at you like you're they look at you like you're a fool, right? They say obviously, right? They say like why would you even mention that? Because that's where we know that we're in a place where our standards are being honored, right? The standards are being carried. Someone around us is carrying the same standards. And you have to remember, but when someone is not, when we recognize that we're not in a healthy space and we articulate a standard, another person starts to project onto us, right? They start to push back. They say, how dare you, right? Blah, blah, blah. They start pushing against our standard in such a way, and immediately it reaffirms why it has to be a standard in the first place. It becomes the boundary, right? It becomes something that you have to put pressure on. It becomes the energetic shield. And this is what's so difficult, why we see that so much of this energy right now that is coming into divine union is moving out of high priestess into strength, because they're learning how difficult it is to take the boundary and move it into the space of the standard, right? Because when we sometimes, when we build into healthy relationship, the beauty of being in a space where we know that another person holds our standards for us, right? Speaks towards us in ways that we know, knows our standards, and not only knows our standards, but can communicate them towards others around us. That is the space by which we're able to recognize and identify and articulate how it is to be able to work through that space. But it can be very difficult as we enter healthy relationship, because that ability of becoming even more vulnerable, learning to trust one another more, right? That's often the fact that why we sometimes have the relationship wherein we build into the exception to the rule, because that ability of doing so is the trust that we give to one another in those spaces, right? It's learning to be able to come into deeper spaces of vulnerability. It's being able to come into deepening spaces of openness. But that work is always hard because it challenges our vulnerability, which is why we see this energy moving into the strength card, because it's a conversation about how hard it is to take those moments that the trauma has informed us that we always have to be in that rigidity point and learn to come into that space of energetic easement. That's why I feel like even now, for a lot of the energy between our strength card in its reversal and our Knight of Wands in its reversal, this brings us to the energy deep within divine union. This is why we see too, with the Four of Wands in its reversal, why the change of plans that does not feel like a surprise, but a logical progression, right? The adaptation that we often see in our manifestation goals as we mature in relationship is coming into the ability of seeing one another clearly and also seeing ourselves. And this is why often the beauty of a healthy manifestation is we never land there, right? We never feel like we fully arrive, because by the time we feel like we've moved towards a manifestation, our view has changed, right? We see things about the self that we couldn't see before. We identify things about the self that we couldn't identify before. So the manifestation adapts via our own expansion. So it is the beauty of the manifestation, wherein we always come towards it, but we never fully arrive, that in itself is conditional upon the beauty of being in an experience wherein we are always changing. And this is why we see that for a lot of the energy right now that is deep within divine union, talking about the unified adaptability of the manifestation is a further form of love, because that is the energy that sees one another and feels that even in their progression towards one another, they're matching the similitude in relationality to seeing the maturation that is changing and adapting in the context of the healthy relationship. Continuing to get clarification between our Empress card in its reversal, and our 10 of Cups in its upright, and our Fool card in its upright. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the King of Cups. And I'm not surprised to see it because, and this is what I meant, I'm going to say it again. We've already got the next card here. That's going to be right there. Masculine and feminine are doing this work right now in very different ways. Asynchronous lessons towards the same work in the same way. And for a lot, and I keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy and separation, this is what it feels like to come into partnership. And this is why the energy was working so hard on authenticity. Right? Because this is the feminine energy that in the process of coming towards masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. This is the feminine that almost comes into the habit of trying to not apologize for having standards, right? This is the feminine that, again, this is what happens with feminine being I have to have these standards. And what do we see the masculine saying? You don't have to apologize to me. I understand completely, right? This is the masculine energy that doesn't take the standards of the feminine personally, because this is the masculine that builds into the security of the self, where they don't take the fact that a feminine has standards as an offense. They see that as a feminine that is healing from circumstances or situations that required them. Wherein we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, this is the masculine energy work. And so here you see, this is what it feels like, the struggle of the feminine, feeling sorry that they have to have standards in the first place. And the masculine the healthy masculine that completely respects them in the process, thereby maintaining their standards. Whereas we see the masculine doing that work in terms of articulating from their emotions, not apologizing for them, right? Finding the strength of force to be able to stay steady within their emotions and building into their authenticity. And this is the masculine that feels incredibly vulnerable in that space. They almost feel like they're gushy. And this is the feminine saying, this is you're not gushing because I see you, right? It's not you. That's the energy saying it's good to see you, right? So this is the clarification of the clarity of the energy, almost apologizing for the authenticity that they're bringing to each other. But in the process of the clarity of how another person perceives it, they feel like they become energetically unified. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, clarification between our Fool energy in its upright and our 7 of Swords in its upright, there's that King of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, this is very beautiful to see, because what we're identifying with a lot of the King of Pentacles in its reversal is this is a lot of the work that we're identifying and recognizing in relationality to identifying how this feels, again, for the energy coming into union. So again, it is the space of working through the optics of the fact that everything has a season. Sometimes we need to have those standards, and other times we need to lower them, right? Coming into those modalities of vulnerability, doing that work, it takes time, right? And what's beautiful about this is the energy that is not being forced in that way, right? They're not pushing each other. They're working through this with a sense of easement. They're working through this in a sense of, I keep on hearing, this is a lot of the Saturnine lessons that we're seeing here, because that authenticity, that ability to do so, that recognition or that identification point in being able to see that in the same space that they hold something down, they can then bring it back, they can then lower it. This is a lot of the energy that feels like that is the sense of strength, right? Strength is not holding an energetic position. It's being able to adapt to circumstances and being able to arrive into a situation and see what is needed there. So I keep on seeing that this is a lot of the energy that is adapting to the peace that they're finding in those healthy energetic connections, while continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Swords in combination with our Four of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Swords in its upright. This is a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union. And for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, one of the things I'm identifying that's occurring, and this is why I see even now, like, there's a lot of protectiveness here. There's a lot, I told you, this energy right now, deep within divine union, is like very much like in that Leo Mars, like that Mars and Leo energy. It's very much talking towards, I keep on hearing, this is the energy that is adjusting and working towards that manifestation, because it is, I keep on hearing, this is the energy that says this is what we, this like the ever-changing dream that we're perpetually bringing into reality is what I keep on hearing. Like that is the force of love. It's the ever-changing dream that we're perpetually bringing into reality, because as we continue to grow towards it, it expands further, right? So it opens up to the possibilities that we find there. So I keep on seeing that this is the energy that feels a lot of that harmony, because even in those changing points, there's still alignment, right? Like that is the energy that doesn't see, I keep on hearing, they weather the changes together, right? It is the ability to do so, right? Like that is the space that allows for the expansion point. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Cups in its upright in combination with our King of Pentacles in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify? There's that Tower card. And again, the thing with the Tower card that we like to see, like we're not, I know everyone gets all stressed out, right? I know everybody gets all stressed out when we see these Tower cards, okay? But I want you to understand that this type of energy right now, I'm not surprised to see this type of energy with all of this Gemini energy flying around, right? It's a lot. It can feel, and especially, right, especially with the fact that we are just coming out of the Virgo moon in Gemini, it can create a lot of that feeling of not being good enough, right? Of doubting the self, of doubting one's own capabilities. But this is the beauty that we find as it relates to healthy partnership, which is the ability to articulate through that feeling instead of project it, right? Because the thing about that, and this is what we have to recognize in a healthy energetic feeling, like a healthy energetic, like in healthy spirituality, there's no spirituality on the planet that's going to make that feeling go away, right? If you are trying to move towards like a spiritual journey that doesn't require the work of the self, right? Doesn't require that moment of identifying what you're working on. That's not spirituality. That's indulgence. You know what I mean? Like that's la 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 la. You know what I mean? Like that's going like this, right? It's a space. It's operating in the space. It's navigating the irony that never are we more far afield than when we feel like we are perfect, right? Never are we more far afield than when we feel like we are perfect. Never, like, it is not a journey about being perfect. It is a journey about working towards perfection. And when you're working towards perfection, there's always something more that you wish you could do. There's always something more that you wish that you could bring about. There's always something more that you feel that need or that desire to work to repair. So this is why, and this is why this is so like beautiful for some of the energy that is working through some of these new relationship dynamics. Because I see this energy, and I just want to describe to you what I'm identifying here. This is energy that is introducing each other to one. They're introducing themselves to each other almost in the space of saying, I am a catastrophe. And this is the energy that is now building into the healthy relationship. Because someone is looking at that person and saying, I don't see a catastrophe here. I see a work in progress, right? The healing is not in the space of saying I'm perfect. It's in identifying what it is that we're trying to work on, right? And that's why I keep on seeing that this is a profound breakthrough that's occurring right now, because if these are the energies that we're moving towards authenticity, this is the energy that says to one another, even in the space that you're working, I see beauty. Even in the space of something that you think is something that is a deal breaker, or even in the space that you're holding something so heavily, another person is saying, that is not heavy for me. That is energetically manageable. And it's in that space that ability, right, to articulate and define and recognize that we're working, that is where the space that we feel we are faulty becomes the space that is our greatest strength, right? It is the foundation that is fixed with the ability of another that says, I can fix that with you, so long as we both identify where the work begins. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Pentacles in its reversal and our Page of Swords in its upright. And for this is why it's so difficult right now for a lot of the energy coming into divine union. Because this is a lot of the energy that's working through, like, this is the energy that's almost working through the sense or the space of saying, the very thing that got me here, right? Like, this is the energy that now is working through the healing that almost feels like it's heartbreaking, right? Because this is almost the energy looking at that boundary, looking at that resistance point, like looking at the self and saying, the very thing that got me here is the thing I need to work to relieve, right? Because that's often what happens when we build into the healthy relationship, because as we described, right, everything has a season. So in that modality, we often feel like this is the season of the self when we enter healthy relationship, because that hardness, right, that determination, that force of will that we had to put in relationality to holding our standards to find that perfect energetic counterpart, we then need to learn to release in order to move closer to them, right? It feels like we're unarming ourselves. And even in that space, it feels heartbreaking, because you look towards another person and you say, I know that I don't need these. I know I don't need these. You did not create these boundaries in me. You did not create these standards, but yet they're there, right? And it's almost like the energy that apologizes to one another in the process and says, this is the work of a lifetime, right? The work of a lifetime is to move back into the vulnerability of when we finally find the energy that is for us, because we never would have had to set those standards in the first place, right? It is the beautiful, profound journey of the irony of that transition point. But even here, I see that this is why the energy is moving towards strength, because this is the energy that says, for you, I can do that. Because you are, and again, this is why often the people that we hold closest to us become the energetic exceptions to our rule. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union, we just see that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, this is the glee. I keep on hearing, this is the delight in understanding the perception of the self that allows the condition by which like by which the dreams change, right? It's that constant progression. It's that constant attenuation, if you will, right? It is like the continuing of the song of the manifestation, that as you're about to arrive to it, it extends even further. Because as we move towards a healthy manifestation, we see more on that horizon point. And from the point that we see even further. We expand upon the manifestation. So that is the space of, like, again, navigating that profound change, but with a sense of the perpetual nature of it, right? It is the beauty of understanding the quality and condition that change is the constant. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Pentacles and its reversal in combination with our Page of Swords. One card to clarify. We've got here the Hermit energy. I'm not surprised to see this too. You know, here's the thing about it. I mean, this is intense, is what I keep on seeing. Because a lot of this energy, a lot of this work that we're identifying right now with the Hermit energy, like, I remember how I just articulated about the fact that for a lot of the energy in separation right now, being able to see something, right? Like like, remember, these are the relationships that we're moving towards one another for authenticity. And this is the energy that is receiving as a response to that manifestation goal, even in the partnership that's coming together, the clarifying thought. I never looked at it like that. I never thought of it that way, right? This is the perception point of another pointing out the discrepancy in relationality to something that another person is saying about themselves, that another person does not feel rings true. And it's in that modality of seeing that another person that says, I don't think that fits you, right? That is the energy that recognizes that they have in fact changed. They've moved out of something that they were working to heal, or this is an unhealthy thought form that they're carrying with them from an unhealthy space of trauma that isn't theirs to carry. So this is that energy here that we're effectively seeing that's allowing for a lot of these new relationships to come into fruition. Continuing to get clarification here for a lot of the energy that is coming into divine union. This is that I keep on seeing, like, this is literally the conversation that we saw. This is the energy that's going, yeah. The energy, the standard, the boundary that served to get me here is now the thing that I work to remove, right? This is working through the ability of understanding that those changes that we make, right? The strength we hold, the things that we put down, right? That is the ability of understanding the will of intention in the self to identify what we're working on. And often when we're working to come into union, it feels like a strength training exercise, right? Often when we're coming into union, it feels like we're working to become stronger. And then we have to do different work when we enter healthy union in learning how to be vulnerable again. But even in the journey of doing that and working in that way, we see that it is the ability to identify what brings us closer towards who we aspire and desire to be, right? How we work towards those conditions. And this brings us to the energy deep within divine union right now, which is talking towards, again, I told you, the attenuation or the changes that we often feel as it relates to the healthy manifestation. Because as we move on our journeys, we continue to see more. And then when we continue to see more, then the dreams that we have start to change. So it's the beauty of the fact that one of the things that we start to identify as we continue to move in healthy partnership is not just the changing of the dream, but the accordance of the fact that the manifestation also changes, right? It is the maturation point of the manifestation that grows with us, adapts with us. That almost is it's the beauty and the harmony of healthy partnership, because it's the recognition of the fact that you're not moving in partnership like for things. You move in partnership to see what you'll see, right? To build into the context of growing together and always being able to navigate what you're able to see in that way. And I keep on hearing like that is the journey of like, I keep on hearing that is the weathering, as it were, that allows for the space, right? It is the space that allows for the adaptability of navigating and seeing from the same perception, that always allows for that space of growing and learning and healing more, right? We never know what we find, but when we know who we are, we're always prepared for what we arrive to. Final card for today's spread between our Tower card and our Hermit card. Boom, there it is. There's that Gemini energy. I love it. I mean, the two of Pentacles, but this is like core Gemini energy here, right? Because it's like the big message of this reading, and I feel like this is often what we have to work through when we're navigating Gemini lessons, right? The only constant is change, right? That to a certain extent, like, and that is the beauty and the harmony of things. And when we work in that space, right? The important thing when we change is that we change with the space of intentionality, right? Because when we are able to change in adaptable ways, that is pragmatism, right? That is the ability to understand that there are many ways to move towards something. And when we're in a healthy space, we recognize that we learn things along the way, right? Like, this is often why I told you, this is why Aries and Gemini don't believe in failure. Like, go find an Aries and Gemini. They just don't believe in it. And when they like, and when I say don't believe in it, when I say that Gemini and Aries both say failure is not an option, they don't say that because they mean that failure is not something they allow themselves. They literally mean they don't believe it's real. Because for Gemini, right, Aries says, I can do anything. It's just a question of how much time it's going to take. You know what I mean? Like, this is why often Aries are very conscientious about their time, right? Because Aries like work into the space of balancing what it will take to be like what they're trying to do versus what it's going to take to get there. Okay. Gemini are always looking at things and being like, I could be doing like 4 other things right now. Gemini are like, no, as long as I'm adaptable, I can do anything, right? So, there's a lot of this energy here about working through the context of the self that allows for that. I keep on seeing it allows for that ability to be able to, and I feel like this is also the arrival of that Libra energy in the moon right now, which is saying that like that space, it's not about being perfect. It's about recognizing what you're working on. It's like identifying where the work is. And this is why I keep on seeing this is a lot of those new energetic partnerships coming together. I can hear some energy saying it was at that moment that you said that I knew that you were the one for me, is what I keep on hearing. Because this is the energy that's saying, why is this energy coming together? If these are the magician partnerships, this is like the culmination of the magician partnerships. Because this is the energy that says it was at that moment that you said something and you helped me move an illusion of myself away from me, that I knew that you were the energetic one for me. Because this is the energy that even in the space of being able to build into the energetic union, they clarify each other's view, right? They help them move out of an illusion-free zone, even in the space of their own misconceptions, right? So there's a lot of that healing that I see that is coming through this right now. While for masculine and feminine, that is coming into divine union, I just keep on identifying that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, this is effectively the work in recognizing and identifying what the work is, right? This is the energy that is feeling that ability to do so, because often What's difficult is when we enter healthy partnership, our work suddenly feels like it's twofold, right? Why does it feel like it's twofold? Because we have to recognize and identify. Remember, this was like the space of acting to building into the space of suppressing the inclinations of the boundaries that we had to set, working through the triggers that we had to learn in spaces of trauma to be able to build into the accordance of the new reality that we are creating for ourselves, right? And so this is very heavily much like, again, this is a lot of that energy moving into strength, because it's talking about often when we have to learn the strength to be vulnerable, it feels doubly difficult. It's easy to get strong. It's easy to get strong. You just get stronger. You're just doing one thing. It's very hard to be vulnerable when you're strong. Because when you're vulnerable, when you're strong, the vulnerability is a choice, right? And so I keep on hearing that this is the energy that is working towards the fact that that is a condition. That is something that they work towards, right? And when you're working towards being vulnerable, it feels like a battle, right? It feels like a perpetual battle. But this is why. Why do we do that work? Because the real goal of our love is to make sure our love feels like love. And when we can't suppress our anxiety, when we can't suppress our fear, our love doesn't feel like love, right? It's not enough to be able to move towards something. It's working to build into the context wherein we're able to maintain and sustain it. This brings us to a lot of the energy deep within divine union. And for a lot of that energy deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing there's like a bit of I keep on hearing like this is like the manifestation that's opening up, if you will. This is like the expansion point of a manifestation, seeing something in a different way, observing a bigger picture, thinking about something. And that's why I keep on hearing this isn't the energy that feels like they're moving away from a manifestation goal. They feel like they're expanding upon it, because that is the gift of the healthy relationship. It is the view that allows for the opening up of the energetic possibilities. Bottom of the deck on today's reading, Knight of Pentacles in its upright. The thing with the Knight of Pentacles in its upright has to do, I keep on seeing it has to do with, I'm just going to say it right now, working through frustrations. Like there's a little bit of this energy here in relationality to working through frustrations. And the one thing I keep on seeing has to do right now with the fact that, and I'm going to say this again, masculine and feminine are both doing this work in different ways right now. I've been seeing this throughout the week. Feminine has been feeling very much like they need some kind of energetic support. Like I see something here of the feminine just building into that expansion point in terms of kind of feeling like that emotionality. Masculine has been much more in hermit mode this week. This is also not the first time we've seen this hermit card coming up this week. So masculine has been going a little bit more inward. So I'm going to say it again. Make sure if you need something, make sure you're asking if the person's available for it. Because I keep on saying everyone's kind of struggling under this energy. So like, if like, it's like, I feel like instead of saying like, the best way I can describe it, instead of saying like, I need a hug, is being like, are you available for a hug? Is what I keep on seeing. Because there's something about working through that adaptability, right? The ability of don't presume someone is feeling the way that you're feeling right now. Take the temperature. Like I'm getting here like heavy. We're going to be studying the temperance card next week. And a lot of the temperance card is making sure that you take the temperature, which is saying like, are you available for this right now? Because I keep on seeing, especially with like the Mercury in its, Mercury in Gemini, it's easy to get wires crossed right now. and it's easy to misinterpret. It's easy to misunderstand things, or to like feel like what you're like another person, like another person, like I keep on seeing, like, you know, if someone's like being very like if someone's being very introverted right now, like they might not be ignoring you, is what I hear. Like if someone is being like, you know, like don't jump to conclusions, is all I keep on hearing. Because I keep on seeing that there's this recognizing that feeling that there's a lot happening. It's happening to all of us. So again, kind of like lead into a lot of this energy right now, giving others the benefit of the doubt. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to catch that reading. Most importantly, please remember, I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the death card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, June 11th at 8 p.m. PST. 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Temperance card. I am so excited to teach this card to you. It's a fascinating card. We are going to talk about the symbology of the card. We are going to talk about the history of the card. I'm going to work you through spread applications, how to read that card in any direction it may appear in your own tarot readings. And I will be giving you a special tarot spread that you can take with you out of that class. And all you need to do, if you'd like to become a part of that class program, is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we are studying or have learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 14 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You will also have access to, if you choose to receive it, a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do with these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I also want to let you guys know that on top, you'll also find my Mystic Meditation articles there, which will give you recaps on what we've been seeing energetically. I recently wrote one about how to navigate this full moon in Gemini this new moon in Gemini that we just experienced most effectively. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that we can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these per dream or as a series. If you purchase the dream interpretation reading package, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you so much for being here today and receiving these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.